But would you consider Trump supporters extremists?
We are worried about violent extremism, so that to the extent, not about what people believe, but to the extent that they are moving toward violence.
Trump supporters specifically.
If they're calling for violence, it doesn't matter to me who they support.
Haven't seen any.
Haven't seen any. That was Marjorie Taylor Greene during a hearing Thursday of the House Homeland Security Committee. Not seeing any evidence, none at all, of far-right extremism. Weird. Now, she was questioning sociology professor Cynthia Miller-Idris, who specializes in violent right-wing extremism. That's, again, her qualification. They brought her in to talk about, violent right-wing extremism. Okay, but apparently Marjorie Greene has not seen any examples of members of the far right, Trump supporters specifically, that, believe in any sort of violence or do any sort of violence. Interesting. So let me cite some examples, of violent right-wing extremism. The Charlottesville riots. Remember the Unite the Right rally that happened in 2017? Which involved neo-Nazis, neo-fascists, white nationalists, alt-righters, Southern nationalists, and Klansmen, along with Vanguard America. So now one of the members of Vanguard America, James Alex Fields, drove his car into counter-protesters, killing Heather Heyer and injuring 28 others. Those were seemed to be on the side of, the MAGA movement. Okay. Now, there's more. Before that, on June 17, 2015, Dylan Roof, a 21-year-old white supremacist, went into the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, and shot and killed 9 people, including South Carolina Senator Clementa C. Pinckney. Roof was known to be a white supremacist who admired apartheid South Africa. That's a member of the far right. It's very violent. Okay. Now, on October 27, 2018, 11 people were killed and 6 more injured at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Robert Bowers, a radical extremist, had, of course, was very anti-Semitic and had a belief in the white genocide conspiracy theory, white replacement. Seems like a pretty right-wing person. On March 24th, 2019, a mosque in California was set on fire. The same person who had set that fire, then later on, next month, had attacked a synagogue in California. They actually killed an elderly Jewish woman named Lori Gilbert Kay, and 3 others, along with Rabbi Yisroel Goldstein, were injured during this attack. The accused shooter blamed Jews for white genocide. Weird. And there was an open letter that was very anti-Semitic, very racist. It was posted on 8chan, and in that, he confessed to the mosque arson and cited inspiration from the Christchurch mosque shooter and Pittsburgh synagogue shooter. Weird. It seems like all these people are into super right-wing conspiracies like replacement theory. On August 3rd, 2019, a domestic terrorist attack / mass shooting occurred at a Walmart in El Paso, killing 23 people and injuring 23 others. That attack was carried out by Patrick Crusius, who wrote a manifesto and posted it on 4chan, citing a supposed Hispanic invasion of Texas, and said he was simply trying to defend his country from ethnic and cultural replacement brought on by invasion, and had also praised the perpetrator of the Christchurch mosque shootings. Those are just a few of the most recent ones. Look, a 2017 report by the U.S. Government Accountability Office found that of the 85 deadly extremist incidents since 9/11, far-right extremist groups were responsible for 73% of them. A June study by the Center for Strategic and International Studies reported that over 25 years of domestic terrorism incidents, the majority of attacks and plots have come from the far right. Far right was responsible for about 66% of attacks and plots in 2019 and 90% of those in 2020. So, you know, seems to be a lot of attacks from the far right. But she specifically said, well, Trump supporter. Oh, so you can't tie any of those to a specific Trump supporter, right? You can't do that. That's why there's, the far right Trump supporters are very, very not violent. There's never been an instance of violence. Haven't heard of it. Okay, well, I mean, you want to talk about the insurrection, January 6th? That's what happened. That was by Trump supporters specifically. But no, Marge just hasn't heard of any. Doesn't believe it any happened. Violent Trump supporters, violent right wingers. No. In fact, Marge earlier in that hearing, she pointed out what she thinks the real problem is.
We all know Antifa and BLM riots are responsible for $2 billion on damage across American cities in 2020. And Antifa literally took over Portland and declared their own autonomous zone. So I'm just wondering, how do you consider your organization, Peril, and a good source of informing people on what they should believe and not believe when you do no study whatsoever into left extremism?
Oh, so the left extremism. Why are you never looking into left extremism? Now, of course, her answer to that is, I'm not there to study left extremism. That's a completely different hearing. But, look, I can save her the trouble. Okay? So she says, well, what about the far left? What about Antifa and BLM? $2 billion worth of damage to property. Oh, wow, man, that's pretty bad. How many people were killed by left-wing terrorists, left-wing groups, Antifa and BLM? One. Since 1983, there have been no instances of left-wing extremism that have caused deaths. Now, in 2017, there was a congressional baseball shooting, which, again, didn't even cause anybody's death, but it was still horrible. James Hodgkinson wounded Republican Representative Steve Scalise in that shooting. So, and in 2020, Aaron Danielson, a supporter of the far-right group Patriot Prayer, was shot and killed by a self-described anti-fascist activist named Michael Reinol during a pro-Trump event that drove through Portland. So that's your Antifa BLM violence right there. So, I mean, that's what it is. That's where it is. So why aren't we talking about left-wing violence? Why aren't we talking about left-wing extremism? Because you'd have a very short conversation. That's what it would be. Just saying. And as far as, again, violence by Trump supporters, we already had January 6th. And some of those others, again, they share a lot of beliefs with MAGA, in the MAGA movement. So, look, here's the thing. To not see that the current far right is more radical and violent is to intentionally not see it. They don't want to see this. And that's exactly what Marjorie Greene does, provides cover. She ignores any of the evidence that people who listen to her, people who listen to Donald Trump, people who listen to Tim Pool, Nick Fuentes, Ben Shapiro, Hai Rychik, Matt Walsh, and many others, they're the ones that are, sending threats and doing violence. This is the right-wing extremism that we're talking about.